Hello everyone, welcome to Lever Guns 50. Today we're shooting a Model 71 in .348 caliber. Now, we have 4 different bullets here that we're going to shoot. We're going to shoot a 200 grain factory bullet put out by Winchester. It's a Winchester PowerPoint. It's supposed to be going like 2,535 feet a second. Then we're going to be shooting a Barnes 220 grain bullet and a Barnes 250 grain bullet. And we're going to be shooting the 180 grain Speer bullet. Now the 180 grain Speer bullet, we'll leave a link to a video right here where North 61 and I both tested these bullets. Now he tested the original Speer 180 grain bullet. This one right here is actually sized down from the 35 caliber because they no longer make the 180 grain .348 caliber bullet. So anyhow, I'll leave a link to that video about right here, and also I'll leave a link to the video where we size these down about right here. So check out those videos if you want to see how it happened. But today what we want to do is try it in this ballistic gelatin. So we're going to shoot these 4 different bullets in here. Hopefully we'll be able to spread them out a little bit so that we can see their paths and how far they go. So let's get set up and get started. And also we're going to check the velocities so we'll kind of know about what the velocities is. Now this 180 grain I think will be doing about 2,800 feet a second. But we also have some FTX bullets that we could try in a later video. If you guys would like to see it, we have a 165 grain bullet that we sized down from 35 to .348, and it was originally for the 350 Legend. It's going a little over 3,000 feet a second. Then we have the regular FTX bullet made by Hornady for the 348, which I think they discontinued it, but we could do a video on that too. We decided to go ahead and shoot the FTX bullets. So to start out with, we got the 165 grain, the 180 grain Speer bullet, the 200 grain FTX, the 220 grain Barnes, and the 250 grain Barnes. Just leave a comment down below which one you think will penetrate the furthest out of these. Now plus don't forget about the Winchester factory bullet, which is a 200 grain PowerPoint bullet doing about 2490 FPS. So go ahead and leave your comment down below which one you think will penetrate the most. We'll load this thing up and get to shooting and see what really happens in the real world. I imagine we're all going to be wrong, but who knows? And the velocities of the bullets are, the 250 grain bullet is going 2290. The 220 grain is going 2500. The 180 grain Speer is doing 2800. The 200 grain FTX bullet is going 2700. The 165 grain bullet is doing 3079. So that's basically what the velocities are. Let's get to shooting and see what happens. Up first is going to be the Winchester factory bullet, because we want to be able to compare them with the factory ammo. Let me get where I'm shooting pretty straight. I'm going to shoot this a little bit. Right. Oh man, right in the dirt. So, it did not get a reading on that. That sucks. The bullet stopped right here. The ballistic gelatin didn't get too dirty. It did get dirty on that side. We're going to have to clean it. Okay, here is that first bullet. And that's the 200 grain. That's a factory bullet right there. And you can see it's lost a lot of its little petals come off, if you can see them going up and down in every which direction coming through there. And then that bullet come all the way over into here and stopped kind of sideways. So we'll get that out of there after we shoot all of them and see what it did, see how good it did. Now we're going to test the 180 grain Speer bullet. See how it does, how fast it's going. Oh man, right into the dirt. Well, as you can see, this factory load did a lot more, I don't know what you'd call it, I'd call it dieseling because it's all black in there. Got a lot of particles coming off. Now let's look at this 180 grain Speer bullet. Let me get it to focus. There we go. It doesn't have that, it's mostly clear. It does have a bunch of particles coming off of it, as you can see. So there's one big one and then there's some other small ones. And it comes across here, but look, the 180 grain versus the 200 grain factory stopped within an inch of each other, probably less. So this one is going to be the 220 grain. Like I said, I'm going to try to shoot it right beside that other one. And see what happens. Maybe a little bit high. Oh, stop on the, yeah, good. I know it was going about 2,500 feet a second. It actually stopped right here, lacking about 5 or 6 inches of getting as far as the other two. Last but not least, well, we're going to test the 2X FTX bullets since we're already out here. But the last of the flat nose, 250 grain Barnes bullet. I'm going to try to shoot it kind of high right here. Oh, right in the dirt, all over in the dirt. All right, I'm going to try the 165 grain bullet. It's going 3,020 feet a second, or it should be. We may try to run it across the chronograph and see if we can actually get a reading on it. And see what it'll do. It was doing 3,079 feet a second. 165 grain bullet with boot, scooting, and boogieing. Still fairly rounded, that primer. .3,079 feet a second. 200 grain FTX bullet. It is going 2,733 feet a second. It's not, didn't say in the reloading manual it'd be going that fast. So, this is the FTX. And that is where it impacted right there. That's a pretty big explosion. Yep. We'll clean that up so we can see it better. Right here is your 4 furthest penetrators. That one at the top, just past the barns a little ways, that is that one up there. That's your 200 grain FTX. Then the factory Winchester was the furthest. Then this one right here is your 180 grain. And that one right there is your 250 grain Barnes bullet. And then over here, where you can't hardly see from this side, is your 220 grain and your 100. That one down there on the bottom is your 165 grain Hornady FTX bullet. So there's your, and we're fixing to measure that and see how far that penetration is. Okay, it looks like you have about 23 and a quarter to 23, yeah, about 23 and a quarter for that factory Winchester, about 22 and a half for that 180 grain Speer bullet, and then the FTX bullet is about 21 and a quarter, and then the 250 grain Barnes bullet is just a little under 20, and then the other two, which the 220 grain Barnes is not quite 18, so I'm gonna say 17 and maybe 3/4. The 165 grain is going to be stopping right at 17 inches, maybe 17, somewhere right in there. So there you have it. We'll get them out of there and get them weighed and measured. So this is basically what we ended up with. The 165 grain, it lost down to 82 grains. It expanded out to 78 caliber, penetrated 17 1/4 inches. The 200 grain FTX lost down to 123 grains out of 200, expanded out to .66 or 66 caliber, penetrated 21 1/4. The 180 grain Speer, which was the next most penetration we got, from 180 it only dropped down to 123, which is the same as the 200 grain FTX, but it only expanded to 62 caliber, but it penetrated 22 3/4 inches. The Barnes bullets actually penetrated some of the least in a way. The 220 grain penetrated 17 3/4, expanded out to 90 caliber. Look how big that bullet expanded. That would have done some major damage. They both expanded really good because the 250 grain bullet expanded out to 79 caliber and penetrated 20 3/4 inches. However, the winner of the penetration is the factory bullet. It expanded out to 73 caliber, penetrated 23 1/4 inches, and retained 161.7 grains. Here you see the grains on the 250 grain Barnes retained 219. The 220 retained 186. So anyhow, that's what we got out of them. I hope that was educational for us, and hope you learned something. I appreciate you guys watching. God bless each and every one of you. Come back and see us, you hear?